Hey everybody! Hey everybody! Hey everybody!
Hey everybody.
Hey everybody. Today I'm responding to a video by Glitch Poachers called Little Joel's Worst Takes, Constant Moral One-Upmanship. This video came out over a year ago, but whatever, I just saw it and I thought the arguments were so bad that I just had to talk about it. In this video, Glitch is responding to several videos from the YouTube channel Little Joel. That's right, you're watching a response to a response. I'm sorry. Little Joel is the second channel of YouTuber Big Joel. Big Joel is a left-wing YouTuber who makes videos about PragerU and conservative YouTube channels like that, as well as general film criticism. Little Joel is his channel for unscripted little rants and whatnot. So let's hear what Glitch and Joel have to say.
So there's this tweet by this guy named Sid that goes as follows. The reason young men flock to alt-right MRA movements is because the left gives brain-dead advice to young men. We need to be more compassionate to them for our own sake. Personally, the tweet doesn't really make me mad at all because I think the outcome it describes is good. It's good to be compassionate to men, and if the left can do a better job of that, then that's great. That said, I have some problems with this tweet, like a weird amount of problems with this tweet, and I just wanted to talk you through them because I find it really interesting. The first is, I'm not sure exactly what advice the left is giving to young men that is brain dead. Like, what are people saying? What's going on?
Here's where I disagree with the tweet he read. I don't think the left is necessarily giving brain-dead advice to young men, but rather just no real advice.
Okay, so here Glitch just seems to agree with Joel. Joel says he doesn't know what advice the tweet is referring to, and Glitch says that the left isn't giving advice. So it sounds like they're in agreement about not knowing what advice the tweet is referring to. He kind of frames it like he's disagreeing, but then plays the Young Turks reading an unrelated Vosh tweet. But yeah, good start.
Problem number two, maybe this is the obvious one. This tweet here doesn't really account for other extremely important factors at play here, right? For example, what of patriarchy? We've lived in a very, very sexist society for a very long time. Feminism is a recent phenomenon, and so I think it makes sense that people are still attracted to the patriarchy as an idea. Are young men flocking to conservative movements because of some deficiency in leftist advice? Or does it come down more to the fact that they were born in conservative households, told to believe conservative things growing up? Who are Andrew Tate's major fans and who are their parents? Who did their parents vote for in the last election?
Okay, now I'm starting to see the theme of brain dead. Christian conservatives are not Red Pill or Manosphere or anything close to Andrew Tate.
What? Christian conservatives aren't anything close to Andrew Tate? Talk about brain dead. In fact, Andrew Tate and the Christian conservative movement do have similarities in regards to their ideas about men's roles and women's roles in society. Andrew Tate believes that a woman's role is to have kids and a man's role is to pay the bills.
And if you sit here and genuinely think that you're going to work your ass off through your fertile years and by the age of 54, you're not going to be suicidal alone with a cat, then you're dumb. The happiest women on earth have children and a man who's paying the bills and their mothers. The happiest.
This is also exactly what Christian conservative darling Harrison Butker believes.
I want to speak directly to you briefly because I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now, about to cross this stage, and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she began living her vocation as a wife and as a mother.
If only we had a word for this belief system that men should have a career and women should only be mothers.
Did these kids grow up with the bad political party or the patriarchy? The patriarchy. The patriarchy.
Yes, Glitch, I know the word patriarchy makes you cry and piss your pants, but it does actually have a meaning. It comes from the word paternal, meaning father, and the suffix archy, meaning rule. It literally means the father rules the household and the mother is subject to him. This is explicitly what both Andrew Tate and Christian conservatives believe. What Joel is saying here makes sense. If you grow up around patriarchal ideas of Christian conservatism, then it's likely that patriarchal ideas of Andrew Tate may be appealing to you.
Third, I think this tweet kind of comes with the implication that giving people advice, like self-help advice, is this really important, impactful thing. When I just disagree. I don't really think that self-help online advice is all that helpful to people because I think you already know all the advice that anybody on the internet could possibly tell you.
This is about as ignorant and arrogant as it gets. To say that the young men who are struggling to find purpose and direction don't need any help because they already know what they need to do is ridiculous.
So I agree to an extent that Joel is being a little dismissive of self-help advice here, but it's important to remember at this point that Joel is responding to this tweet. This tweet is saying the reason men flock to the right is because of the left's bad advice. So when Joel says he doesn't think self-help advice is that important, he's saying it isn't that important in directing your political ideology.
This video is not my way of saying that all advice on the internet is bad and that the people who are giving it are all grifting you and that there's no place for it. I don't believe that. I just think it's an extremely small part of a network with things that are vastly, vastly more important than it.
Which I think is a reasonable thing to say. There's a lot of factors that make up someone's political ideology, and the idea that this tweet is pushing is that the advice someone receives from one side versus the other is the most significant factor. Significant enough to push an entire group of men from one side to the other. Which is kind of ridiculous when you consider much more significant factors, like, for instance, how you were raised, like Joel mentioned earlier. This is not difficult for anyone who isn't brain dead to understand. Now that we've seen Glitch's response to Joel's first video, we can see the strategy he uses and will continue to use to manipulate what Joel is saying into an argument that's easier for Glitch to tear apart. Rather than recognizing that Joel is making a cohesive argument about a specific topic, Glitch breaks apart his argument and attacks each point individually, as if Joel is just screaming unrelated things into the void. Joel's argument in this video can be summarized as, this tweet is wrong because the advice given to men from one political side is not as significant of a factor in someone's political ideology as the circumstances that they grew up in. Glitch doesn't attack this argument though, probably because it's pretty reasonable. Instead, he takes each soundbite and attacks it individually. Christian conservatives aren't like Andrew Tate, actually. Andrew Tate's audience didn't all grow up conservative, actually. Self-help advice is good, actually. Notice how none of these arguments that Glitch makes actually disprove Joel's overall argument, even if they were accurate, which they aren't. Either Glitch is doing this purposefully to make his arguments sound better, or he has the memory of a goldfish. With this in mind, let's move on to the next video.
De-radicalization and YouTube. He starts by talking about how BreadTube had this reputation for de-radicalizing people, BreadTube essentially being the more leftist corner of YouTube. He disagrees with the notion that BreadTube was de-radicalizing anybody, and here's his reasoning.
When people are using the word radical, when they talk about falling down the alt-right pipeline, in many cases, not all, but many cases, what they're talking about is that they, as a 14-year-old boy, watched anti-SJW YouTubers on the internet. And I gotta be honest with you, I think many of the people for whom this is the case, they just kind of grew up. One day, they looked at Sargon of Akkad and they said, oh, this guy is the stupidest man I've ever seen in my life. Oh, this man is the absolute dumbest human being I've ever seen in my life. And what's more, he's very lame. Like, he's lame and dumb. And you saw that. You were mature enough to see this fact about him. And then you stopped being into it. It was a phase.
Now this is true intellectualism. Now, I don't think Sargon of Akkad is the pinnacle of political discourse or anything like that, but I do think that Joel is showing a distinct lack of self-awareness. Just as people may grow out of the offensive nature of the right, people also grow out of the annoying nature of the left.
So, since we know Glitch likes to basically ignore the central subjects of Joel's videos, let's take a moment to understand who Joel is addressing here. In this instance, de-radicalization is the process of someone going from radically right-wing politically to more left-wing politically. So Joel is specifically talking about people who were once right-wing, then became left-wing. Joel isn't claiming that people only go from right-wing to left-wing as they grow up, just that the specific group this video is about, people who claim to be de-radicalized by BreadTube, did do that. Glitch almost immediately forgets the entire premise of the video in order to find something to be offended over.
And here's the thing. I'm not trying to illegitimize anybody's political story. I'm not trying to tell you that you're worse or a shitty person because you liked Gamergate in 2016. Like, yes, obviously that sucked. But we can get over that. We can get over that together.
As long as you agree with me now, we can get over this together, because, I mean, the only way that you would disagree with me is if you were immature and stupid enough to like somebody that I disagree with. I'm not trying to delegitimize anybody's political story, but, you know, the only way that you would come to the conclusions that I have is if you've matured and grown up and you grew a little bit more of a brain.
Glitch, my guy, relax. This video isn't about you. Joel is not talking about adult, grown-ass conservatives. I'll say it again so maybe Glitch will remember this time, but this video is addressing people who were right-wing, then became left-wing as they got older. No one is calling you or any other adult conservative immature. It's gonna be alright. Let's move on to the next video.
It's become kind of a fad among conservatives to try to define the word woke, and they keep doing a really poor job of it. Like, they're doing a weirdly bad job defining this very simple word. Like, the way they use this word is not complicated. Wokeness claims, 1, Western civilization and its institutions were and are discriminatory and serve the purposes of those in power, typically straight white men, and 2, that discrimination is both historic and ongoing, and all group disparities are explained by it.
I would say this is pretty accurate. According to Wikipedia, in the 2010s it came to encompass a broader awareness of social inequalities such as sexism, and has also been used as shorthand for American left ideas involving identity politics and social justice.
They think that wokeness is just a replacement word for, like, identity politics, for discussions of oppression, and they're wrong. They're wrong about this.
What?
Glitch is employing here what we in the business call a pro move, by citing a Wikipedia article for his definition of woke, which is pretty epic, I must admit. I'm going to try a little pro move myself that I call actually listening to the video that you're responding to.
I'm going to tell you the definition of woke right now, the way that conservatives use it. Woke, it means liberal, the way that conservatives use it. The way that conservatives use it.
The key phrase here is
The way that conservatives use it.
Conservatives do not actually use the word woke according to the Wikipedia definition or Ben Shapiro's definition. Glitch does actually admit that conservatives misuse the word woke.
I'm sure that people both on the right and the left misuse the term woke. But yes, the original intent behind the word woke was to refer to identity politics and oppression.
But instead moves right past it so he can continue to lord his Wikipedia definition over us like the wielder of facts and logic that he is. Maybe if Joel cited an example of how conservatives use the word woke in a different way, then Glitch could understand.
Oh, before I go, I just wanted to give one more example of this that might actually help Sitch and Adam out here. Climate change. I very frequently see the claim from conservatives that the concept of climate change is woke ideology, but that completely controverts Ben Shapiro's definition of wokeness, which is about systemic and historical injustice and discrimination.
You can easily come up with a woke explanation for environmental issues. Oppressive corporations such as oil companies are the ones who are doing the most damage to the environment.
The problem with Glitch's explanation of the wokeness of climate change is that the argument between liberals and conservatives regarding climate change isn't about whether or not it's caused by corporations. It's about whether or not it's happening at all, or at the very least, if it's caused by humans. To explain this further, I'm going to take a pro move out of Glitch's playbook and read you a Wikipedia definition. Contradiction. A contradiction is a logical incompatibility between two or more propositions. Is it possible to believe that climate change exists and is caused by humans and not believe that Western civilizations and its institutions were and are discriminatory and serve the purpose of those in power? Yes, you can. Those concepts are not inherently contradictory. Therefore, believing in climate change is not inherently woke by Ben Shapiro's definition. In fact, what Glitch is doing when he loosely ties climate change to leftists hating corporations is exactly what Joel is discussing in his video. Glitch seems to think that if he ties one thing leftists don't like to another thing that leftists don't like, that makes it woke, because conservatives' definition of woke is just anything leftists believe.
Next, we have the Sunny V2 take.
So originally I wasn't going to cover this part of Glitch's video because honestly I know nothing about Sunny V2 or Mr. Beast, but then I actually watched Sunny V2's video, and the arguments Glitch makes defending him are so astronomically dumb that I decided I'd just go all the way and cover his whole video. So if you're still watching this, I'm sorry. I too wish the video was over. Here's Glitch giving a rundown of the Sunny V2 situation.
If you're not familiar with the recent drama, here's a quick rundown. Popular YouTuber SunnyV2 recently made a video about Chris from MrBeast. It speculates the business implications of Chris's transition. Many people think this was a step too far, and Joel seems to agree.
He made a video that is so nakedly and horribly transphobic about MrBeast's friend and employee, Chris, who recently transitioned, that MrBeast himself literally responded to it. So here's the thing about SunnyV2 as a YouTuber. He is always trying to go for plausible deniability. SunnyV2 will never simply say, I think it's bad that Ninja talks about racism. No, he'll launder that opinion through audiences. The audiences are upset about Ninja talking about racism, and me, I'm just a documentator. I'm just reporting on the facts. I don't have stake in the game of Ninja talking about racism. I'm just reporting on the news.
Now, like I said, I know nothing about SunnyV2, but after watching his video on Chris and MrBeast, what Joel is saying here seems pretty obviously true. SunnyV2 includes comments throughout the video that attempt to give an idea of what the audience is saying regarding the topic he's focusing on. In this case, Chris's transition. Throughout this video, SunnyV2 shows 3 comments from MrBeast's audience that are reacting positively to Chris's transition. In contrast, he shows 22 negative comments reacting to Chris's transition. Is that because he just couldn't find more than 3 positive comments about Chris's transition? Considering MrBeast gets like 1 billion comments on each video, I highly doubt it. Does it mean SunnyV2 must be transphobic? Not necessarily. It's possible he just thought this framing would get more views and interactions, but that's not really the point. It's not unreasonable for Joel to come to the conclusion that SunnyV2 might be laundering his personal opinions through the audience comments that he chooses to include in the video. That would be a reasonable explanation for his obvious bias. Glitch's only response about this video is that Joel is apparently a hypocrite for speculating on someone's motivations when he previously said that that's a bad thing to do.
He states this assumption in a very matter-of-fact kind of way, but it's not the speculation that I have a problem with. I believe people should be more speculative and skeptical in general. What I have a problem with is the hypocrisy.
Maybe this is trivial, but I think there's a kind of problem about just making stuff up about people, pretending you know their motivations when you objectively, do not.
This is from a video about SunnyV2's video on Ninja, but that's not important. What is important is that Joel is acting like he knows what SunnyV2 is thinking and what his motivations are, something that Joel condemns on a separate video on SunnyV2.
Conveniently, Glitch cuts out a key point of what Joel is saying in his video about Ninja.
Pretending you know their motivations when you objectively, do not. Obviously he's just speculating, but his speculations are founded in nothing.
So Joel isn't saying you can never speculate on someone's motivations, but that speculation founded in nothing is what's bad. Which is not what Joel is doing regarding SunnyV2's video about Chris, because anyone with half a brain and the ability to count can see SunnyV2 is presenting a biased perspective. Alright guys, only 2 more videos, we can do this. The next video that Glitch responds to is Joel's video about the Twitter account Women Posting L's.
This guy posts, "This account just hates women, TBH, fell off," and somebody replied to that, "Yeah, I'm questioning my following of this account more and more." So I know what you might expect my reaction to this to be, might want to say that the people responding not liking the post are showing a glimmer of humanity, they're being good, normal people for a second. I disagree. The second you see a real, honest-to-God woman L, you back off. "Oh no, I can't handle this. Oh, I'm disgusted by this. You can't be posting this." Grow up, You follow the account Women Posting L's online. You enjoy the content from that account. You hate women, so, own up to it.
Right, because the only way you could find this humorous in any way, absurdism included, is if you hate women. Laughing at men on the internet? That's fine, just make sure they're not a minority. What Joel is actually doing here is excluding women from honest discourse.
Honest discourse. Bro, you're actually silencing women when you tell me not to make fun of them, so... Nowhere in this video did Joel say that it's okay to make fun of men, but sure, let's go with that. Let's take a look at the Women Posting L's Twitter account compared to the most popular equivalent account for men, which appears to be Dudes Taking L's. First thing you'll notice is that Women Posting L's has about 400,000 more followers than Dudes Taking L's, and that the Dudes Taking L's account has been inactive for about 2 years. But I'm sure it's just a coincidence that the account making fun of women is so much more successful than the account making fun of men, so it's fine. Now let's take a look at the most recent posts on both accounts. On the women's account, we have a post criticizing who women choose to sleep with, a post about, haha, woman fat, and a post about a lesbian being upset about hearing a certain song, I guess. Okay, these are all posts I'd expect to see on an account like this. Now let's head on over to dudes taking L's. We have a post about a woman using a man for math tutoring, a post about a woman not wanting to sleep with a guy because he has the same name as her father, and a post about a woman sleeping with her ex while her current partner slept outside, and then them getting back together. My point in showing this is that there's an important concept in just like the world called context. On the woman's account, women are always the ones in the wrong and being made fun of. On the men's account, women are still portrayed as the bad guy, usually because they mistreat a man in some way. Ignoring this context and just saying, what, it's equal, we're making fun of women and men here, is what we call a bad faith argument.
I hate to say it, but the concept of a Twitter account women posting their L's online is inherently absurd and hilarious. So maybe the people following that account don't hate women, they just have a different sense of humor than Joel.
It's inherently absurd and hilarious, Joel. It's not my fault your sense of humor is just different from what's inherently funny. I'm starting to think Glitch doesn't fully understand the meaning of all the words he's using. Anyway, moving on to the last video. Thank Christ.
But this isn't nearly as entertaining of a narrative. The more hateful Joel can make people seem, the better it is for his channel. He does this again in a more subtle way in his video, Rich Socialists.
Whenever some big leftist, usually Hassan, buys something extravagant or whatever, shows off that he has money in any way, there's a conversation often had by conservatives, but also by good faith leftists, talking about how he's not an authentic socialist, about how it's hypocrisy or whatever.
There's a conversation often had by conservatives, but also good faith leftists. It's as if the word conservative itself has become a dog whistle for bad faith.
I wonder why, Glitch? As funny as this is for Glitch to say in his own video, which is just absolutely seeping with bad faith arguments, it's even funnier because Joel isn't saying all conservatives are bad faith. He's saying all conservatives, good and bad faith, make this argument about socialists. Because of course they do. They don't like socialists. He's specifically pointing out that good faith leftists also make this argument, which is unique to that group because bad faith leftists don't make this argument. They probably just aren't criticizing socialism at all. It's the exact same situation that Glitch had way back when we talked about de-radicalization. Glitch loves to bend over backwards to misunderstand something if it gives him an opportunity to be offended.
Oh, and by the way, even though leftists are the moral arbiters who get to decide what progress is and isn't, according to Joel, there's no virtue required for being a leftist.
Charity as a concept is a virtue. It's a virtuous thing to do for everybody. Everybody almost agrees that giving of yourself, sacrificing for other people, giving people what they need is a good thing to do. It's not leftist to give people things that they need. It's simply kind. And the problem I have is that what we're really doing when we call people hypocrites, hypocritical leftists for not being more charitable, is making the argument that to be a leftist means being a good person. And no, it doesn't. It absolutely does not. Being a leftist, believing in socialism, these are completely unrelated. These do not make you a good person.
Virtue.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Behavior showing high moral standards, a quality considered morally good or desirable in a person, a good or useful quality of a thing. So if it doesn't take any virtue to be a leftist, then what does it take? Is just repeating left-wing talking points that you don't believe in whatsoever good enough?
I think this is about as close as Glitch comes to understanding something in this video. What does it take to be a leftist? To believe leftist political ideas. That's it. Let's head on back over to our little Wikipedia definition we pulled up earlier. Can you be a bad person and believe that the most efficient distribution of resources is under a socialist government? Yes, you can. I'm glad that Glitch chose to respond to this video last because it really shows where his motivations lie in responding to these videos. Joel is trying to tell people, hey, being a socialist, voting for left-wing politicians, doesn't make you a good person. And Glitch's response to that is, actually Joel, you're just virtue signaling. In fact, you saying beliefs don't make you a good person is just you virtue signaling even harder. Like, come on, man. What even is virtue signaling at that point? And then he has the balls to title his video, Constant Moral One-Upmanship. Glitch doesn't care what Joel is actually saying. He's only interested in how he can twist his arguments into insults against conservatives so he can say, aren't leftists the worst? Aren't they just terrible? It's his own kind of moral one-upmanship. But I hope that's obvious now. Hey, if you're still watching this video, I'm surprised. But thank you. If you liked it, or at least thought what I was saying has some substance, give me a like. If you want to see more stuff like this, give me a subscribe. Anyway, I'll see you all next time.